Now we get to the disappointing one, and for good reason. Are we sure it was just Itagaki that left? Because this one feels like it was designed by a whole different team. The vibes are mad different. Feels like this was made by Capcom's D team. Doesn't really seem like it by just looking at it, right? Like, we still got Ryu here slicing and dicing his way through familiar looking bad guys, the art style similar, and the occasional Team Ninja fan service is still here. So how different can it be, right? Well, that's all just the surface, because it doesn't take long playing to see that this game is not ticking the same boxes as the first two games. Not automatically a bad thing, as sometimes switching things up is for the better, but in the case of this game, yeah, they would have been better off just making more of Ninja Gaiden 2. Unlike my previous videos, I'm not looking at the original version for this. Fuck no. The Razor's Edge version is the clear best version with way too many improvements to count. There is no debate here. Not to mention the original ain't even available for purchase anymore.
Hayabusa, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All civilians have been evacuated. Any armed soldiers down there are fair game.
The hostages are in the Prime Minister's residence, right?
Yes. I'll monitor the situation and guide you from the air. Be careful, Hayabusa.
So Ninja Gaiden 3 opens with the Japanese military trying to convince Ryu to help them take down some terrorists. These assholes have raided London and have kidnapped the Prime Minister, hoping that Ryu will try to stop them. He takes the bait and flies over to London to whoop their asses. He eventually comes face to face with the leader of these dudes named the Regent of the Mask. They rumble and Ryu gets the upper hand, but shit goes bad when the red dude casts a curse on Ryu, which causes the dragon sword to be absorbed in his right arm. They both flee London, but his ass calls in later to threaten the annihilation of the world in 7 days if every nation doesn't submit to him. Obviously, the world isn't down with that, so Ryo, along with his new partner Mizuki, travel around the world trying to combat these dudes. Relationships form, betrayals happen, along with some other plot twists, but we'll get to all this later.
Yeah.
Same console generation as the last game, so no real noticeable leap in terms of graphics. This one doesn't have that strange glossy sheen with all of its characters like the last game, but god damn did they go hard with the bloom this time. There are so many arenas and scenes where it feels like I got solar flared. I wonder if they're aware of that, because most of this game does take place either at night or indoors where not as much light needs to be present. That weirdness aside, pretty standard 7th gen looking game, all things considered. These fights do feel a bit grittier though, and that's because all the sound effects when you're chopping up guys are even meatier, and the composer did not hold back when it came to the metal music. Am I playing Ninja Gaiden or DMC? The mixing is a bit off though, so glad that there's subtitles, because whenever characters are speaking in the middle of combat, you can barely hear shit.
The government declared their opposition to the Regent of the Mask. They acted way faster than we thought they would. It's good we got him before they...
But nah, fuck the presentation on all the aesthetic stuff. The real reason you launch a Ninja Gaiden game is for the gameplay. More specifically, the fast-paced brutal combat where you're using all of your deadly tools and ninja moves to overpower some really tough foes. Does Ninja Gaiden 3 still provide that? Well, the combat is still brutal. Like, you're still able to execute guys in viscerally satisfying ways, but that's about it. The Essence system has been completely scrapped in favor of this new Steel on Bone system, along with this new Grip of Murder move. With the former, it's practically a brutal counter that you can string to kill multiple dudes in a row. However, you can only do it if you hit a guy with a heavy attack right after they throw out a grab. The Grip of Murder move is the new ultimate technique that you can only unleash after killing a certain number of enemies. Ryu's fetus arm glows red, and instead of a long continuous combo that wrecks everything in front of you, there's shorter hard-hitting combos that snap to individual guys. Both of these reworks admittedly do look and feel cool to pull off, but only at first. Started to miss the essence pretty early in, and that's because it's simply a more dynamic combat system. There was a constant on-the-fly choice you had to make with the essence to either absorb them for health or money, or use them for big damage. It was a compelling risk and reward system that not only kept the pace of the action fast and tense, but also differentiated Ninja Gaiden from most of its contemporaries. Steel on Bone is just a fancier counterattack that doesn't require much thought. In fact, it more or less just incentivizes the player to just spam out heavy attacks, especially since the enemies in this one are even more grabby. Grip of Murder doesn't feel nearly as badass as the previous ultimate techniques, and that's because for one, you're not wiping out as many dudes, and secondly, you have way less opportunities to do it compared to the regular ultimate techniques. Ultimate techniques are still here, but it is clear as day that this game doesn't want you to utilize them as often with how these fights play out. Someone on the team really loved rocket launchers, huh? Jesus fucking Christ, I've never played a hack and slash with so many goddamn rockets being fired at you. I'm not exaggerating when I tell y'all that damn near all of the military fights have 2 to 5 rocket launcher dudes firing at you from afar, and it is insufferable. You have to constantly drop what you're doing to deal with these assholes, and it does nothing but break the flow of combat. It's annoying as hell, but it eventually becomes hilarious because it's like, wow, they really couldn't help themselves. The change in combat that baffles me the most, though, is what they did to the health and healing in this game in general. Instead of potions, how you heal in this game is through your Nimpo. Yeah, your fucking magic is how you heal, and not a healing spell, but throwing a fireball. That's already some nonsense, but what makes it even more egregious in this game is that it takes forever to fill your Nimpo meter. You got to kill so many dudes just for a chance to heal, and it is miserable. I think I spent half of the game listening to this heartbeat sound effect when you're below half health. I don't know what people are talking about when they say that this one is the easiest in the trilogy. Did I load up the wrong game? Because I'm pretty sure I died more times in this game than the first 2 games combined. It's not just the lack of healing whenever you get hit. The game permanently takes away a chunk of your health until you reach a save point, so even if you do have the opportunity to cast a spell, you're not making a full recovery. And I've already mentioned enemies in this game still being bullies, but man, there's some new foes in this game that are more dastardly than anything that came before. The alchemist dudes. Man, fuck whoever designed them. Straight up. They have all the things I dislike in an action game enemy. Mad defensive, mad evasive, they have a ton of health, they drain your health and energy, and they always come in threes. Oh man, I never had fun fighting these guys, and unfortunately, you fight them quite a bit. Actually, I take that back. You fight everything quite a bit because this game only knows action and nothing else. Even more so than Ninja Gaiden 2. Except, it's actually a problem since the combat here is nowhere near as satisfying as that game. Also feels more exhausting because in this game, they're constantly drip feeding you enemies in the same rooms, while in Ninja Gaiden 2, yeah, there were a lot of fights, but it switched up its arenas more frequently. They throw so many goddamn fights at you that sometimes right after fights, the curse kicks in, which means you have to fight even more waves of enemies while your health slowly drains. I get that they wanted some gameplay effect to show how the curse is negatively affecting Ryu, but surely it could have been something better than this. These just feel like padding. I thought Ninja Gaiden 2 was linear. This game, you're strapped to the rails. There are no hidden paths or collectibles. Golden scarabs are usually placed in front of you, and these challenges, you're not even going to be strong enough to do your first playthrough. This game is so streamlined that there's not even Muramasa shops. You upgrade everything in the menu using the same resources for everything. You know, maybe all of the platforming and puzzle solving in the first game wasn't all that bad, because I would rather take that than all of this QuickTime event nonsense. At least with those, they added some necessary downtime while still giving full control to the player. A lot of empty spectacle with these. And no, I'm not against QTEs inherently, as I do think that they can accentuate some really hype moments, but I don't think that these are as cool as this game thinks they are. So much of the QTEs here is dumb shit like climbing or destroying objects, and it's just like, okay bruh, can we get on with the actual gameplay? I can't help but feel that we've regressed in terms of game design here. Ninja Gaiden 2 was already the over-the-top action blockbuster that this game is trying to be, while still giving the player full control whenever they're not in a cutscene. This just feels like Team Ninja conforming to the rest of the industry at the time. With this being 100% combat focused, surely they got the bosses right this time, right? Oh fuck no. The worst roster yet. Even worse than the first game. They gotta be rage baiting at this point. With the dual bosses like the Region of the Mask, we're back to the old baiting out a specific move to get 1 or 2 hits in, and that's because these guys are so overtuned with fast recoveries and barely telegraph hard hitting moves that it's the only reliable way to defeat them without getting your shit pushed in. The worst thing about this is that all of these dudes have insanely huge health bars too. So you're spending a lot of the time watching the boss do all of the cool shit while you're running around like a headless chicken praying for an opening. I'm willing to admit that I'm bad at the game, but I can't see how y'all are going blow for blow with Clone Ryu in the second phase. That motherfucker should be saving the world instead of me. The helicopter and the spider tanks are just whatever, your standard attack the weak spot bosses until they go down. Generic, but nothing offensive. The T-Rex, on the other hand, yeah, whoever designed this boss needs to be spanked with the cactus. It's the gimmick of gimmick fights. It's just waiting for this dumbass dino to tackle his way across the arena 3 times so you can get some hits in when he falls down. Once again, big health bastard where there's a lot of running around waiting for the one opening, except here, it feels even worse with the janky hitboxes and how awkwardly this thing moves. There's a section right after the actual fight where you're running away from it, and I swear it was a coin flip on whether you could actually escape it or not. Everything I've mentioned thus far has been irritating, but none of this compares to the bullshit that is the final boss battle. Holy fuck, how did this make it past QA? This shit is horrible. You look at this and you think it's going to be your typical screen gobbler that swipes at you with its arms, right? And yeah, throughout the battle, she's swiping at you while you're trying to kill ads. The problem is that the only way you can damage this bitch is with your Nimpo. And look at how fucking long they made the bar here. It takes forever to build that shit up, and the process itself is mad frustrating with everything going on. Hordes of annoying ass fiends, projectiles raining from the sky, this hoe's big ass arms blocking the camera. It's a fucking mess. Worst boss in the series by far. Encapsulates the annoyance of playing through this game in general, and I didn't even go over the reduced enemy variety and weapons, and that's because those are the least of this game's problems. We got 2 levels where you play as Ayane that managed to be okay. Fundamentally, she doesn't play all that different from Ryu, and luckily her levels go by quick. The only annoyance was that awful 3 prototype goddess fight in her second level. I don't know what they saw in the solo fight that made him think that this would be fun as a gank fight, but they thought wrong because all of the issues that I mentioned with the bosses before are multiplied by 3 here. So yeah, unlike the last two games, Ninja Gaiden 3 actually makes a real effort in trying to tell a story here. This isn't just Ryu saving the world from evil. Motherfucker is actually forming bonds with people and goes through some sort of character development. It's kind of like Master Chief in Halo 4, where all of a sudden this stoic badass has more lines than all of the previous games combined. However, unlike Halo 4, where the more sensitive Master Chief was a welcome change, I don't know what the fuck to make of Ryu here. All of a sudden this series wants you to judge his actions and have you question on whether he's a hero or villain because he kills a lot. Like, they really want you to think about this shit. All of the villains are taunting him about it. His new cursed arm haunts him with all those he's slain. And in the base version, they went as far as enemies begging for their lives before you killed them. I can appreciate them trying to do a character study here and have Ryu grow in some ways, but how it's done feels very hollow. For one, this question on whether he's a hero or a villain, it's dumb as hell. He's clearly a hero. The dude saved the world twice from literal fiends, and damn near all of the beings he's killed have aggressed on him first. What do you think in the second game, if Ryu asked nicely, the greater fiends would have stopped their rituals? Secondly, despite Ryu appearing softer now due to this new relationship with this kind of girl, it doesn't actually feel like he went through a real arc here. It's kind of hard to take the introspection of all the violence seriously when the character it's all about doesn't ever comment on it. There's literally just the one cutscene during the back half here where Ryu accidentally kills someone that's important to someone he cares about, and he's all in his feelings about it. However, the introspection here is less about how brutally he goes about things and more about not wanting to let that specific character down. After that cutscene, it's back to business as usual. Not to mention, just behavior-wise, this doesn't even seem like the same guy from the last two games. I'm willing to accept that maybe in between games, Ryu has become more socially adjusted, but it is a bit jarring how chill he is here compared to how silent and intense he was in those games. The Ryu there actually sounds like a cold-blooded assassin raised in a village full of cold-blooded assassins.
Not bad. So what exactly are you? You're much more powerful than just a human.
My strength comes from training, not from some curse in my blood.
The Ryu here sounds like a dude you would meet at the bar.
Look, down there. So, that's the Black Narwhal.
Hayabusa?
I'm fine. We got a welcoming committee.
I do like that we actually get to see the village not burned down for once, but what the fuck did any of this have to do with the main plot? Not that the main plot is all that compelling, if I'm gonna be honest. Lots of meandering scenes in this mission briefing room like his Metal Gear Solid 4. It's all here just to swerve you with a plot twist later on with one of the characters, but it's such a dumb plot twist that I would have preferred the Ninja Gaiden 2 way of just Ryu being at places randomly. Like, for all of its brooding, this is still just Ryu slaughtering his way through bad guys to save the world. Again. The Regent of the Mask seems like he's going to be an entertaining villain that bounces off of Ryu well with his Joker-like attitude, but that same plot twist later on throws his agency out the window and he becomes lame as hell.
Ah! Fast as ever. You ninja are nothing if not punctual.
You again. Now I know LOA is up to something. Tell me about the dinosaurs.
So yeah, that's Ninja Gaiden 3, and man, I really hope the fourth game doesn't take any influence from this. This game is really annoying to play. At almost every turn, it's actively finding a way to either piss you off or bore you. The combat has been castrated, there's a noticeable lack of content, and the story is dumb as hell. What's crazy is that all of this is the Razor's Edge version, which is the good version, so you can imagine how awful the base version was. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. If you like this video, do the usual things to circulate it into the algorithm, and check out my other stuff if you have the chance. Until next time.